Welcome to In the Envelope, an awards podcast. I am your host, Jack Smart, awards editor at Backstage. I'm here to give you a front row seat to the Emmys, Oscars, SAG, and Tonys races. Who is in the running? What makes an award-worthy performance? And what are the secrets to giving one? These intimate, inspirational conversations with some of today's most talented stars provide you, dear listener, the kind of craft and career advice that could win you a statue of your own, and maybe, just maybe, a tantalizing glimpse in the envelope.
Just do it if it's something you want to do, and you're never an aspiring actor, you are an actor, you know?
That's so good.
Like, if you wake up every morning and you want to act, you're an actor.
Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm good. How are you?
Today's guest is Elsie Fisher.
Yes.
Guys, who saw 8th grade? I'm pretending I can listen.
There was a huge roar of a crowd.
8th grade is for everyone who's seen 8th grade, it's like their favorite film of the year.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
It might be my, this year's Florida project.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like an A24 film that's like indie. It's super indie, but it's like beloved and it's got an amazing script. And
like an outlier movie.
It's kind of an outlier, and it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It's in fact, I don't know if anyone predicted it would be such a critical success, but a lot of the critical success is entirely due to today's guest, Elsie Fisher.
Yeah.
Who at only age 15 is becoming this huge, huge breakthrough star. Talk about we've interviewed kids on this podcast before. We've interviewed borderline kids, I guess. Noah Schnapp was 13, I believe, and we just aired Amanda, who's 20, so she's not a kid anymore, but Elsie is somewhere in between. And I do think this is a good episode for anyone who is having that breakthrough moment, particularly at a young age.
Yeah.
Particularly in today, in the age of social media.
Yeah,
in the age of,
absolutely.
This movie itself is about this specific generation that can't look up from their phones and sometimes has trouble interacting with other humans. And
well, on the Natalie Portman episode, she talked about her history as a child actor, but that was interesting, talking about her story.
Yes.
But Elsie's is a real modern version of that, and
it's
relevant today.
Right now in this moment. We caught her on the morning of that she was nominated for some other film critics group award, and she's just like, oh, cool. Okay. And she literally got a Golden Globe nomination for leading actress in a comedy or musical, which is always the most fun category at the Globes.
Amazing.
And she lost to Olivia Colman.
Yeah. Who's
our new favorite, who's now going to get mentioned in every episode.
We were just gushing.
Yeah.
She's the new Meryl Streep.
Apparently, in our minds, she might be. There is a theme, I think, with Amanda and then Natalie and then Elsie, where all three, there's a theme of talking about starting a career early as a kid and as a woman, as a young girl.
Yeah.
And maybe the many different ways and the many different pressures of that. I really enjoyed how frank Elsie was about those pressures.
Yeah.
And her anxieties.
And coming into an industry that is undergoing a lot of change itself. So it's interesting that they will transition into sort of a new industry in some respects after Me Too and Time's Up. And
it's true that even Amanda and Elsie are 5 years apart, but it's, that's true that these are three different portraits of three different women who navigated that young fame thing at different times in the industry.
Yeah.
And under completely different circumstances and all of that. Mm-hmm. This is such a breakthrough moment for Elsie, and it was really exciting to be kind of there for that part of the journey.
Yeah.
And who knows what's next? Who knows what's next? We talked a little bit about what's next, and I wish I had been as, I don't know, had as much conviction in myself at age 15 as she seems to have.
Yeah.
Conviction even in my own lack of conviction. She just has conviction in who she is because she's just even though it's not perfect, or even though I have anxieties, or she can put a name to those anxieties.
Yeah, to know who you are at such an early age is bizarre.
And and not in a conclusive way, in a way that's it's
to know what you know and what you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great interview for that. Let's do it.
All right.
Hey, are you ready? Yes, you, listener. Are you ready to take the advice and the inspiration you've heard here in today's interview and use it in your own acting career? Is it something maybe you've always considered doing? Are you at the very beginning of your acting career? Are you well into your acting career and you're a fan of this podcast and you're ready to take those next steps? Backstage is here for you. This podcast is brought to you by Backstage, and what we are offering listeners to this podcast is a free 30-day trial. That's right. We are giving you 30 days completely free to try out Backstage. All you need to do is go to checkout, backstage.com/subscribe, and enter the code ENVELOPE. That's right. If you enter the code ENVELOPE at checkout, ENVELOPE, that's how you spell envelope, you get 30 free days on backstage.com. Browse our thousands of casting notices. Learn why it's the world's #1 casting platform. If you are an actor and you haven't signed up yet for Backstage, I don't know what to tell you. Get on it. 15-year-old Elsie Fisher is the Golden Globe Award-nominated star of A24's 8th Grade, writer-director Bo Burnham's feature film debut about a week in the life of a socially awkward middle schooler. For her critically acclaimed performance as Kayla Day, Elsie has been nominated for over a dozen awards this year and won the Gotham Independent Film Award for Breakthrough Actor. She's adorable. Here it is, our interview with Elsie Fisher. Same with Instagram. Yeah. And it's very true that, kids don't use Facebook, correct?
Yeah, kids do not,
right.
To my knowledge.
Right. And there were things like that in this movie. Welcome, first of all, to In the Envelope. We are recording, right? Yes, I believe we are.
Sick.
I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
There were moments in this movie that you helped provide the key perspective. This is a movie set in middle school that feels like it is from the perspective of real middle schoolers. And a lot of that was because of you, correct?
I mean, I like to think so.
Yes.
No, I mean, I appreciate the movie because of its honesty.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the people working on it wanted to be very aware that it was like the story of a middle schooler. So it was about consulting people like me who were working on the movie, or even Jake Ryan, who played Gabe's character. And I mean, we had almost every extra was like a real middle schooler from the film, or from the school we shot at.
Yeah.
So it was about, consulting them and using them as part of the environment.
And were those actors?
No, I think they were all first-time actors for the most part.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they were incredible.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I felt so lucky to have that specific group of kids because they were all so nice and just amazing.
Good.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense though, because if you grow up with a camera in front of you, you're gonna be used to
Sure.
being good in front of a camera.
Interesting. Right. Which we should get into, the presenting yourself one way on camera versus who you really are.
Yeah.
A lot of this movie's about that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Filming with the non-actors, this was in a school in upstate New York?
Yes, in Rockland County, Suffern. Yeah.
But you were born and raised California.
Yes, SoCal for life.
Okay, cute.
Wiki.
Amazing. And where did you go to middle school?
So I lived the first couple years of my life. Well, not first couple. 11 until whatever. I'm rambling. I went to middle school in Thousand Oaks. I'm just doing math in my head.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. Thousand Oaks has had there's a lot of fire and suffering there.
Yes, we're okay though.
Good. Okay.
I've said that probably about 90 times since all this stuff.
The news makes it seem like that whole state is on fire. Which
it felt like that for a while. We did evacuate pretty much the day the fire really got big.
Wow. Yeah.
But we were back within 3 days. And it was crazy because we had Borderline and then the fires, and then we had another fire in Simi, actually, but that one got put out. And then we had another one somewhere else.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's huh?
It's too much. No.
And that's just in Southern California because we had the
Yosemite last. Yeah, I was there this past summer, and
yeah.
You can't breathe. It's
I know. The air quality still kind of sucks where we are. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
And I heard that you're now switching to, is it homeschool?
Yes, I'm doing like a homeschool type thing.
A homeschool type thing? Okay.
Yes. So there is an actual campus for the place I'm going to, but I only have to go like twice a week for a few classes, and everything else I do online, and it's like really cool and chill.
Like on your phone too?
No, not on my
computer.
phone. On my computer, yeah. I wish I could do it on my phone. That's like one of the toughest things is because, like, I'm doing it because I'm traveling so much, but because I'm traveling so much, I don't always have access to a computer, so. Sure.
I mean, maybe there is a day where we're all just learning our whole educations on our phones.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
I mean, I don't know. If you're still learning, I think it's a good thing. As long as you're still, like, getting yourself educated, and kids are more inclined to use their phones, so I mean.
Sure.
If you can do it there, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you should have a work phone and a play phone. So that you can, like,
I mean, that makes sense.
Sure.
I mean, some people do that with computers. They have a work computer and a chillin' computer.
True. So is the homeschooling thing partly because, like, you have had a whirlwind of a 2018?
Yeah.
And you've been doing press all year because this film premiered in Sundance.
Yeah, that is true. That is very
true. And
true.
did you just hear in the lobby that what was you just won another award that you just heard about?
Oh, yes, gosh.
And you were like, cool.
The Washington, D.C. Film Critics, I believe.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting. This year has been intense. Yeah. And, like, I'm tired, but in the best way possible. Good. Because I feel, like, very stimulated. Yeah. Because I spent most of my life just, like, sitting and playing video games. Okay. So I, like, did stuff this year, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Like in-person stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but doing press has honestly been the best. I mean, cool. Yeah, that is why I started homeschool, and now where I have even more press, it's still difficult to do homeschooling, but it's the best. And I mean, like, I'm working on a project I love so much, so. Sure. I mean, I'm wearing an 8th grade sweater right now.
I see that. Oh my God, it's actually perfect, and it's like Kayla's color.
Yeah,
it's yellow.
It's the yellow.
Yeah. She's like, it's like her signature color.
It is.
Yeah, she's iconic.
She is iconic.
You said more press now than earlier in the year.
Yeah,
just because of the nature of, like, award season.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little break for a while, in between, you know, kind of when the movie came out and awards season. But really, as soon as summer hit, it really, like, started ramping up. Oh, yeah. Just because they knew I wasn't going to be in school or anything, like A24. And, I mean, maybe press people, they know.
They know things, yes.
No, and I mean, that's, like, around when the movie came out, and it was, like, just doing stuff all the time, which I just love.
That's so good that you love it.
Yeah.
That's really important.
It's just fun.
Did you know, so at what point did you know that there would be a lot of press, as in, like, when did you know it was a hit?
I mean, I think just when I saw the movie in Sundance.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to judge my own performance when we were filming. Sure. That's just something I've always had difficulty with. Yeah, and I mean, I knew the other people around me were incredible, and I knew that Bo was incredible, and truly all the crew also. Yeah, but it never clicked that it was gonna be that kind of movie until we actually saw it. Because I don't know, it was like this small little indie, you know, small budget indie movie. Yeah, and I mean, like, I just had no idea, and I didn't know I could do that. So
that's great.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. But I had no idea about how much press we would be doing until like the 3rd festival. Okay. Because, like, for Sundance and South by Southwest, we had a pretty big break in between those two.
Oh, right.
And I mean, we were doing press the entire time, but, like, kind of South by Southwest was one of the last ones I did really during the school year. And then, like, after that to the next one, it's like, oh, we're just flying everywhere now.
Flying.
Like, I've been to New York. This is my 13th trip this year.
Of the year?
Of the year, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it might not even be the last. Like.
Yeah, no, we have at least one more.
Oh, my gosh.
At least.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, but this wasn't all, like, your very first introduction to press.
It was.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. I mean, like, I've been on red carpets before, but I've never, like, done, like, a junket even. Yeah, so I mean, I'm thankful that this was, like, my first press experience, and, you know, I got to do it for a good film. I'm gonna be so disappointed when I'm finally in, like, a terrible film and I have to do press for it. And they're like, So let's talk about 8th grade again.
Right. Yeah, you're going to bring the topic back to...
Yeah, exactly.
For the rest of your career, probably.
Oh, please. I'd love to.
Totally. Yeah, so for like Despicable Me, that was your introduction to... That was like... is that what we would call a big break?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that was like pretty much my first job. So it was kind of just like my introduction to acting in general.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is really interesting considering it was voice work. Like, I don't even really remember what my first, like, acting job was.
Right.
Yeah, but, like, that was interesting. But I didn't do much press for that because I was, like, 5 at the time.
Amazing.
And I mean, like, I play a relatively minor character, so.
Yeah, but, like, a beloved one. People
thank you. That's really sweet.
And so, when did you, it sounds like in that moment you were a non-actor and then you became an actor because, first of all, how did you get the Despicable Me gig? And, like, have you always wanted to do this? Has this always been the goal?
I mean, to be truthful, I don't know. Because I started from a very young age, so it's like, not that I regret this decision at all, but it wasn't necessarily my decision. It was more on my parents' part.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't a toddler when I started acting, but still, I wasn't, like, conscious as a human being.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but Despicable Me, I just remember I went to this audition and, like, we kept getting callbacks and my dad was, like, you know, very anxious about it because I hadn't really done a big job yet.
Right.
So he's like, when's the callback when we're not going to get called back? You know, because they kept switching out the other 2 sisters because it was just, like, a bunch of chemistry reads. So he's like, when are we going to get switched out? And then eventually I got the movie.
Cool.
So it was very exciting. I remember I couldn't read at the time. So,
oh my gosh.
I know. So my dad actually read the script to me. He would read all the other lines, and I ended up memorizing, like, most of the script.
Whole movie? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, as a child.
I hadn't even thought of that. When you're such a young actor, you can't even read yet.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, I mean, one of my big questions, we've had kid actors on this podcast before, and I'm always so interested to hear, like, you say, like, your dad was saying we about the role. It's as much like your parents as it is you, especially at such an early age, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, even with this, it's like, you know, your parent has to be with you the whole way.
Sure. Right.
And I mean, that dictates what they do. Like, my dad is a server, and that dictates, like, how much time he has to take off from work. Because, like, we flew up here for, like, 2 months.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, it is a big situation. And although I'm technically doing all the work, he still has to worry about all that stuff. Yeah, but, I mean, get ready for me to emancipate, Dad.
Yeah, in a couple years, I guess. It's like...
We'll see.
You have to fly out of the nest or whatever, but you're ready.
But I mean, some you know, early adult actors, like 18-year-olds, I know still have their parents around with them. Like, I believe Miranda Cosgrove still has, like, her mom with her for a lot of stuff. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and that helps you, it helps give you a constant, it helps you stay grounded.
Yeah. And it's nice to just have someone to rely on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm comfortable on a set, but it's still like, he's got my phone. We're all good.
And just knowing that is like a security blanket.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So in terms of, like, advice, we love asking about advice. And I actually think it's so funny, like, asking you for advice in this situation is so cute because, like, in this movie, she's always giving herself advice. And other kids, but, like, mostly herself.
Yeah, that's what I love about those videos, actually, is I kind of see them as, like, a little bit of a coping mechanism for her anxiety. Because she's acting in her own sense, you know? She's pretending like she is the person she wants to be, which I find just very sweet and, like, honest.
Oh, yeah.
That's almost more honest than, like, who she is, like, putting out who she wants to be out there.
Yeah. And it's also her at her most joyful.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so heartbreaking that the more real version of her is not as joyful.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, you can almost, like, consider that to be the real version of her. You know?
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to view it. But, like, that joy is very genuine, I think. So.
Yeah, and that's where it gets into, like, that's where this movie gets into, you know, is your online persona who you are? Or is it a version of who you are? And, like, is it aspirational? And if you, in one of her videos, she talks about, like, essentially fake it till you make it. If you be confident, then you are confident.
Exactly. Oh.
Which is, like... And I love that there are some lines in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was no improv.
Not really.
Oh, okay.
So, like, with the improv, It's pretty on script, but like I was allowed to throw in any O's and ums and likes if I wanted.
Gotcha. Likes are important.
A lot of the other characters improv, but I'm very anxious. So
No, but also like a legit actress who can read lines really beautifully. But the thing about the advice specifically, to bring it back to the parents thing. So what advice do you have for like first to kid actors, especially in relation to having a parent like on set or to hold your hand, or especially even as a child? Yeah. And then like what advice do you have for kid actors themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think in regards to parents, it's like sometimes it's going to suck because like your coworkers are going to know and have relationships with your parents that are good and different from your relationship with your parent. So like you try your best not to let internal feuds, get in the way of that, I guess. Because like one thing I've had is like, I love my dad, he's the best, but also we have very clashing personalities.
Sure.
But like a lot of my coworkers, I feel so adult. No, but I mean like a lot of the people I work with have really good relationships because he's a great person. But like I'll get frustrated with him and I feel bad because like I want to like vent about it. But I feel bad doing that to him because he's also friends with those people. So that's my personal advice is just like you and your parents are probably going to have fights, especially if you're a teenager. And that's kind of like when you're finding yourself and finding your ideals and thoughts. But like, just try to like, especially on set, just like try to like let it all wash away and channel it into your performance a bit maybe. That's kind of what I do with anxiety is I try to like channel it into energy. So I seem like more upbeat because otherwise I will collapse.
Yes, I feel that. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
But that's with parents and just for acting in general for kid actors. I mean, just do it if it's something you want to do and you're never an aspiring actor, you are an actor,
That's so good.
Like if you wake up every morning and you want to act, you're an actor. That's my...
That's like the best advice I've ever heard.
Thanks.
Keep going.
No, but I mean that's the truth. It's like you don't have to have jobs to be an actor. You just want. You have to want to do it because not everyone wants to do it, and I think it's special for you to want to do it. But you know what? Like you also don't need to. You don't need. Having an agent and a manager is great, but you don't have to get all those, or maybe not.
An actor.
Yeah, to be an actor, or maybe not until you're a little bigger or anything. The most important thing is just to find a job and find one that you enjoy. Like, I don't know. I mean, everyone has different morals, but like, just in my opinion, just don't sell out. Just do stuff that you feel is like important to you or you would enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like follow the passion.
Yeah, just do something that you're not going to regret. Because I mean, I know a lot of actors do stuff for money and that's fine because it is a job, but like especially when you're a child and you're somewhat in the position to do what you want.
Right.
Like go for it.
Yeah. So. In fact, that is exactly the time when you should be doing only the things you want to do.
Yeah. And that's building up kind of a resume of like what you want other people to approach you for.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, again, it is a job, so you will sometimes feel pressured to, like, go get that bread.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if you're in a position to do what you want. Also, local theater, try it out. Because, I mean,
excellent.
It's like, it's good practice and it's working with other people. And I think that's something a lot of actors, especially like movie actors overlook is like the availability of like, especially having theater programs in your middle or elementary or high school. Yeah. Or like, even community colleges have stuff. So
totally. It's a little more low pressure.
Yeah,
totally
it's low pressure
chops. Yeah.
And you can play around a little more with the material and you're working with also unprofessional people, which will get you prepared for working with professional people.
Yeah. That's excellent advice.
Thank you.
I love the idea of like, of course, if you wake up and you want to be an actor, of course that makes you an actor. It's almost like there's no such thing as an aspiring artist.
I don't think there really is because, it just seems so demeaning in a sense. It's like, no, if you wake up and you are drawing, you're an illustrator, period. Or even if you aren't, if you want to be, you are an illustrator. That's just my personal philosophy. Even if you've never written a song in your whole life, if you wake up and you want to do that, you're a songwriter.
Yeah.
At some point you're actually going to have to do it, but...
but you're going to want to. It's not going to be
Exactly.
I think that really speaks to your generation in a way. Like, I think, and it speaks to this film again of if you will it into being, then you are, then it is, then it exists. It's very Kayla with the karaoke scene.
Oh my God.
The karaoke scene.
That was one of the most anxiety-inducing ones for me because
really?
I had to actually sing for that. And I didn't know that ahead of time. So
okay.
I don't know if I expected to lip sync, but I just came to the day and I'm like, oh, there's the song. Okay.
What was the song?
It was I don't remember the title, but it was I think the Owl City Carly Rae Jepsen collab, Always a Good Time.
Okay.
That one, they play it at the end of Wreck-It Ralph. So
okay.
Yeah.
And did you know it sounds like then that in that scene you're channeling your own anxiety.
Yeah, a little bit.
Of filming it.
Yeah, I was also trying to keep it there a bit too, because unconsciously I'll try to channel it into stuff and get excited and energy, blah blah blah. But that's not necessarily how Kayla does things.
Right.
So it was about kind of keeping it there, but letting go a little bit, just a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, she lets go a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, you have such a. I just know that you have such a brilliant sense of this character. You know her so completely.
She's very, very personal to me, and now looking back on it, I have a really solid sense of who she was, but kind of in the moment it was very intuitive.
Oh, cool.
It was just about figuring her out and remembering that she's very much a collaboration between me and Bo.
Yeah.
Because she isn't just me and she's not just Bo, and it's it was just about, also realizing she's very, fluid, at least while we're making her. But now that the movie's out, I could see things and see how she would do them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because that whole part, teenage years, they're all about reinventing and trying on different personalities. I guess that's what she's doing.
I think so.
And it's not until the movie's done and you look back on it that you're like, oh, she's like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, while we were making the movie, it was really... figuring out who she was, and now it's we know who she is, and then we can imagine whatever. So
yeah, and I like that thing too you said earlier about reading. You can read different things into her. You can see her anxiety, filter through your own. We see ourselves in this movie.
Yeah.
I relived some trauma from middle school. I know probably everyone's unloading their trauma on you after middle school.
Nah,
years.
I think it's cool because before this movie, I barely knew what anxiety was. I knew I had it, but
Gotcha.
I thought I was the only person who had it ever in the history of anything. And then I met Bo, and I'm like, oh, so 2 people have it.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we made the movie, and I'm like, oh, everyone has it. So
Yes.
I appreciate hearing about this stuff. And I feel anxiety is very taboo in a weird sense.
It still is. Yes.
Because it's everyone knows they have it and they'll talk about it online, but no one's talking about it.
Sure.
In real life.
Yeah.
On the offline.
On the offline. And like you said, it's a little different for everyone and everybody thinks about it differently.
Yeah.
But to know that you're not alone and feeling that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've been trying to do with this press is I have a platform and I've always been a very open person about things, almost to a fault. No, but I just want to talk about this because people talk about how to fix it, but it's you're not everyone's always going to fix their anxiety. So let's just figure out how to handle it and deal with it.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, anxiety almost feels like a characteristic of your life. Ooh.
Central to who you are.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
To me at least. It does to me. And obviously getting rid of it would be great. But dealing with it is more important and just
Totally
figuring how to get around it, I guess.
Yeah, it's that thing of before you can't jump to problem solving before you have the problem kind of named and
yes, exactly.
diagnosed, I guess. And
yeah, because when I was, in middle school especially, but my whole life, truly, I just thought I was like some weirdo kid because I was doing all these things I didn't understand, and I was like, feeling weird, like I just had this pit in my stomach all the time, and I'm like, oh, that's my thing. I'm like the weird kid. And then I discovered it was anxiety, and I'm like, yep, all these symptoms line up. So now I'm like better at dealing with it. But before then, before I knew what it was, that was like definitely the hardest part.
And how do you, what are some of the things you do to deal with it?
I mean, again, like channeling it into energy as best I can. Just like get myself moving. That's like why I gesture a lot and why I talk too fast, because it's like any way so that I don't collapse. Because I do a lot of anxiety-inducing things on like a daily basis.
Sure.
But yeah, doing that and like hydrating a lot.
Excellent.
And this is not something I recommend for other people, but I personally like don't eat before if I'm doing a really spooky thing.
Okay.
Like before movie Q&As for 8th grade, I don't eat. Gotcha. And it's not the healthiest, but it also assures me that I'm like not going to explode on stage. Yeah, but I mean, hydrating and just getting more daily exercise so that you're kind of always just channeling that energy out, and just talking to people about it. I mean, just kind of talking about it with you right now is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those things that you just listed are things that you trial and error, right? Like you're trying them out and you're like, well, that one doesn't work for me and that one does. Yeah. It took you a while to realize to not eat beforehand.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yeah. Because I used to like eat and then feel really bad on stage.
Right.
And then I like just wouldn't talk very much. And then one day I'm like, all right, let's just water.
Yeah.
And then it was great. So
that's so great. It's like and again, you have to name it as anxiety, and you have to be like, there's my symptoms, before you can then cope.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, deal with it.
Yeah. It's just about like figuring it out.
Yeah, and I mean, is there? This is maybe a tricky question, but like when you're the lead of a film, and it's called 8th grade, and it's about one girl, and her name is Kayla, and she's played by you, and you're there on set, you're gonna feel anxiety. Like you knew you were gonna feel anxiety, and like.
Although, I mean, like, I've definitely felt more anxious, especially compared to filming and also in my entire life, doing all this press stuff. Because, like, the movie, I knew everyone. I was, like, very comfortable with everyone, especially Bo.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I was just friends with everyone, thankfully.
That's great.
Because I know on sets it can be a little tricky sometimes. But, it was just a good group of people. But, like, I knew everyone, and everything was... We didn't rehearse, actually, very much, just to keep it kind of fresh and keep the anxiety in there. But, like, I had read the entire script, so, like, I knew what was happening.
And that's helpful.
That's the beautiful thing about acting, actually, is, like, especially if you are an anxious person, it's, like, everything that's going to go right and wrong in the scene itself. Maybe not in your performance or any other actor's performance, but, like, in the scene, you have... the timeline, per se. Yeah, but I mean, also doing a movie about your own anxiety is a very trippy experience, but it's good. Because, like, that really made me talk about it, and that's I mean, I'm thankful that we did it, because that's why I get to talk about it now as a job.
It's the job,
Yeah, which I'm so thankful for.
It's like catharsis is the job, almost.
Yeah.
To get your emotions out there.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I want to hear about, especially what you said. We've got to talk about, like, Bo. And first of all, how did you get involved? I believe you were at the top of his, like, list of actors.
That is what I have heard. No, so, I mean, I got involved because he was, like, looking for young actresses online, and, like, he was doing a YouTube search, and he came across a video of me on, like, a red carpet from when I was 11, talking about cupcakes. So, great start already.
Like, that was your first audition, was that red carpet video in a way?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's cute.
I like to think the internet brought the movie together, though, because... I had discovered Bo's comedy online at the beginning of my 8th grade year, actually. And I mean, I love the script. I love it. But his comedy is part of the reason I went to the audition.
Right.
I was actually considering, like, not acting anymore just because I was feeling anxious all the time and I wasn't getting a lot of jobs. But, yeah, so he found me on YouTube and I found him on YouTube. And I think that's very, like, sweet and, like, fate.
Oh, yeah.
but I went to the first audition, and like it was the first script I had for the audition was Kayla's first monologue. And I loved the way she talked, because I'm like, oh my God, this is how I talk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we just kind of improv'd a bit with it. More so in the auditions, we did a lot of improv just to like, for him to see what I could do, and for me to kind of get a grip on the character and you know, see if I could say things in her voice that weren't necessarily written.
Sure.
Yeah, and I remember the second audition was especially great, because we did a lot of scenes with Kayla and her dad, and we actually recorded a couple of Kayla's videos on like a MacBook, and then we just spent like the second half just like talking, and it was very sweet to like become friends with each other.
Yeah, even if you weren't necessarily going to get the job, you're just chatting.
And I remember like at the end of it, at the end of that audition, he said something like, if I never see you again, like keep acting. And thankfully he did see me again, but you know, with audition stuff, you never know until you get the job. So
absolutely,
on both ends, I think. But yeah, it was very sweet.
We always love hearing about auditions here. Like, what advice do you have?
Just auditions are always gonna suck. I mean, that one was like especially great. I loved those auditions, and I wish I could relive them. But most auditions suck. Yeah, and it's just about realizing, like, you know, your life isn't happening in that room. And, like,
that's so
I don't know. I'm terrible at auditions. I always get shaky and... But, like, if you put me on a set, I can act, which just frustrates me so much.
Right.
Because, like, I want to do the thing. Yeah, so auditions are also just not necessarily, like, your ability. Some people are great at them, and they're great actors. Some people are great at auditions and not great actors.
Right.
And then some people can act on a set and aren't necessarily great at auditions. So there's variety in actors and in what they can do. So just do your best to, like, build up a resume. If you suck at auditions, you know, even if it's like your friend's little project, do your goddamn best in that, you know, and especially if it's your friend and like your lines suck, see if you can help them rewrite.
Okay.
But yeah, just like build up a resume of what you can do and try to use that to your advantage, I think.
Yeah. I think that's really helpful to think. It's true that auditioning is a different skill from on-set acting.
Yeah, because you have to be aware that it's like part of acting, I think, is the environment and the people that make that, and that's a very important part of being on a movie. And auditions just take that away.
Yeah, they don't have any environment, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I don't mind reading with people who aren't the actors, but like some of the auditioning people who read with you also like just don't give you anything to work with.
Totally.
And those are two of the most important things about acting for me is, you know, the chemistry with the other actors, whatever it is, just something, and the environment. And auditioning just takes that away. So
wow.
I think it's almost an unfair view at actors, honestly.
Sure.
But there's not much else we can really do about it. So
I guess that's true. It's part of the gig.
It is. But yeah, I would just... Like, I mean, this isn't going to work for everyone, but just do your best, build up a resume, do literally anything, and just give your all into it. And then hopefully, you know, you can submit that to places, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying. But,
no, absolutely.
Like, the idea.
Yeah, and like ideally then you're in the audition room with an incredible audition like that where like the director and you... I mean, it sounded like, too, he gave you a lot of notes in order to see you as... He wanted to see you as a director and, like, and be flexible, right?
Yeah, that was definitely true. Yeah, like, it was a lot of him, like, giving me direction and just trying new things, too. You know, just trying scenes different ways. And, like, especially a lot of the direction I got was kind of to... not capitalized, but kind of like, you know, I'm trying to think of the word, but like focus, I guess, on certain ideas in Kayla's monologues. because they're very, you know, they're very, like, fluid.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, but, like, it's teenagers, and it's, like, you know, she has notes, but, like, she's still kind of winging it.
Right.
So it was kind of, especially when we were just, like, improvising them, to, like, emphasize certain ideas within that so that the audience can really understand it, and just figuring out what to emphasize. Because they could, like, there is a way to read her monologues that is very, like, you know, ineligible, I think.
Sure.
But if
it's
you kind of focus and, like, emphasize and, like, do gestures more around these certain ideas.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that was a lot of the notes I got, because, like, I knew how to do teen speak, but it was, like, figuring out kind of what Kayla was trying to say and what she was failing to say.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
The teen speak stuff is incidental, I guess.
Yeah.
It's more like, I love that there's a slip up she says I think in that very first one about she says something like, have friends. I mean, be alone. I mean, like, she says accidentally the thing that she really means.
Yeah.
It's that mix of scripted. She's got her notes, but she's also, like you said, she's winging it.
Yeah.
It felt so from you. It felt so, like you said, intuitive, like, which is as acting.
Yeah, I mean, especially with those monologues, I really fell into her character there because, like, that's her acting. So it's kind of hard to focus on myself. Like, when I was doing any of the other scenes for Kayla, it was like, you know, trying to be her and you know, forget about me. But during those monologues, it was trying to be her, be someone else, and I couldn't even think about what I was feeling. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and I loved that. I loved that I could just fall so much into a character.
Fall into it. I love that. And too, I'm interested too in the idea of, like, a monologue is a scene, like, you don't have a scene partner in a way, like Kayla's scene partner is herself.
Yeah.
And you said in that second audition you also had chemistry reads. Like, what is chemistry to you?
I don't know, just like reacting to each other, you know, and that's why there are chemistry reads, is to, like, find the right reactions.
Yeah.
You know, and have people emphasize the right things. But yeah, I mean, chemistry just means something's happening, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, like, finding that right something. Yeah, but I mean, like, with her monologues, with Kayla's monologues, a lot of it was, I mean, speaking to an audience that wasn't there. And I mean, you don't have someone to react to, but you kind of don't need it for those ones. It was really just, like, trying to emphasize your points and speak. It was like you're thinking out loud, kind of.
Yeah.
And lying to yourself, but in, like, a sweet, genuine way.
Yeah. And I kept thinking, too, like, with that very first video, I kept thinking, is she going to go back and edit out her ums or edit out her pauses and her stumbles? And, like, she doesn't do that, does she?
I mean, like, I think with a lot of young YouTubers, it's, like, they're, like, not self-aware of that stuff, but, you know, I used to have, like, a YouTube channel. I've had a few back in the day.
Yeah.
They're all dead now. Don't worry about it. No, but I mean, like, you always think it's, like, it's good enough, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like, you're just putting it out there.
Because you underestimate what other people want to watch, and then you're also underestimating, like, the amount of effort professional YouTubers put into stuff. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense to me that she wouldn't edit out her ums, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an interesting example of, like, self-awareness, but only to a point.
Yeah.
She's more self-aware.
I mean, like, she's very self-aware, but she's not necessarily, like, not empathizing, but, you know, she's not thinking in an audience's mindset or what she would want to watch.
Right.
Because she will watch her own videos, I think, and, like...
she's her audience.
Yeah, she's her audience. And Gabe.
And Gabe. God, he's so cute.
Yeah.
That scene where you're doing like a bad, I don't want to say it was bad, but like a bad Rick and Morty impression.
That was actually the one improv we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because the actor Jake Ryan, who plays Gabe, he's like a big fan of Rick and Morty, and I was kind of getting into it at the time. Yeah.
And is Gucci was your
That's
audition?
mine.
Yeah.
That's mine, baby. All Elsie.
That's so cool.
No, so fun story behind that. That was like my nervous tick I did in pre-production.
Okay.
When I was learning how to channel my anxiety.
Right.
That was the very beginnings of like my energetic channel. It's weird to think about that. But no, yeah, it was like a nervous tick. I would end conversations with Gucci.
Oh, like that was how you said goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, like it was goodbye. It was like, oh, that's Gucci. And just like, I mean, I threw it in whenever I could. No, but like Bo started doing it to embarrass me, and
Right.
like all the crew members started doing it, not necessarily to embarrass me, but it just kind of became this like inside joke.
Right.
And it was also based off of my dad introduced me to like the circle game. So like you have the okay hand symbol and you hold it below your waist, and if someone else looks at it, you punch them. And there's all these rules, but that's the basis.
Oh, I have heard of that. Yeah.
So it was like kind of inspired by that because I was like my fun thing I did with my family at the time. Yeah, and then it like kind of made its way into the movie.
Which just speaks to the authenticity of this movie, I think.
Yeah, and I mean like I love every film I've worked on for the most part, and I still just can't think of a film that would have let me have that like impact on it.
Sure.
Even if I was the leading character, you know?
Totally. Like you said, like you're happy to be talking about this film for the rest of time.
Yeah.
Like, and
I love it
associated
so
with
much. I'm like 8th grade's biggest fan.
Oh, that's so
Like,
great.
Love it.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Well, what is next?
Yeah, I have a couple projects up next that I'm like so excited about. So first, so they're making an animated version of the Addams Family, and I'm very excited. I'm doing a voice for that. I'm playing the main villain's daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's great. I've already started to work on it, and I love it.
Oh, wow.
And I love my fellow castmates. It's very cool because like Nick Kroll is also in it, and like
Oh my
I just
God,
saw
he
him.
was just here.
Yeah. Oh wait, here?
Yes, in this podcast.
Amazing.
Yes.
I just saw him at the Gotham Awards the other day.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like cool that I know people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have another project which I'm also like, going up the wall excited for. And it's a musical movie called The Shags, and it's based on the real life story of this family band, these 3 sisters, and they were famous for being absolutely terrible.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And I'm so excited for it
Yes.
because it's going to be like half actual musical music and half the Shags music.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's live action.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Real quick, and because you are a voiceover actor,
Yeah.
like what are your tips in terms of like someone who's never done voiceover, especially a kid? What's like one thing they should know about stepping into the studio, I guess?
Just be prepared to like do a certain line over and over again, different ways. I mean, like that's something I kind of always forget because I haven't actually done that much voiceover. I did Despicable Me, and then I'm doing the Addams Family, and then I did the English dub of a Russian TV show called Masha and the Bear.
Oh, cool.
That one was interesting. Good group of people. Whatever. No, but like, so I'm doing the Addams Family right now, and yeah, just like remembering that like they just want stuff to work with a little bit, and you're gonna have like a director or something in the room with you to like kind of give you guidance on what to do. Yeah, and just like play around with it, do interesting stuff. I've done like weird voices and they love it, so like just go for it.
Yeah, awesome.
I think it's a lot more of like a chill environment a little bit when you're doing animation.
Sure. As
or
opposed to a
voiceover.
set. Yeah.
Yeah, just because you don't have to worry about your other actors. It is kind of similar to auditioning in that sense, where like you don't necessarily have stuff with other people.
Sure.
But a lot of times, especially if you get like a good director, they'll like just dive into it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Elsie, thank you. Do you have any other?
Thank you so much for having
This
me.
has been wall-to-wall wisdom.
Oh,
Words
thank
of
you.
wisdom. Do you have any like last things that Backstage listeners of this podcast should know?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Just like, yeah, just, I don't know. I feel like we covered a lot of ground,
That's as good
honestly.
an answer as any. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just channeling my inner teen,
Yeah.
unable to speak.
No, I really feel like Well, the fact that you're unable to speak, which is not true, but like that has been the theme. Like we might as well call this episode like how to be a kid actor. I think.
I mean, why not? I think there needs to be more resources for kid actors.
Yeah, and like direct from the other kid actors.
Yeah. They're like, also more resources for like parents of kid actors.
Yes.
And like that is such an interesting life that like no one talks about.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because like especially like LA kid actors, like you gotta no one talks about like how much frickin' traffic there is for like driving to auditions.
Sure.
And how much
Stuff
you're
like
gonna
that.
deal with travel. So that's my final statement.
That's such a brilliant final statement. Thank you so much, Elsie.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Awesome. Oh my God. In the Envelope is recorded in New York City at Lotus Productions and Hyperbolic Audio. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tweet us at In the Envelope, leave a review. We want to hear from you. Visit Backstage.com for more content and resources for working artists. And don't forget, you can subscribe to Backstage with a free trial by using the code ENVELOPE at checkout. Thanks, as always, to podcast producer Wiz, Jamie Muffett. You can follow him on Twitter at JamieMusicNYC. You can follow me, Jack Smart, on Twitter at JackSmartWrites. Thank you to the team at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting: Peter Rappaport, Mark Stinson, Samantha Sherlock, Francis Ramos, Lauren Rout, Caitlin Watkins, Rawaan Alkhatib, and especially should-be Oscar nominee Kasey Howe. Thanks for listening.